Now, coming to the physical and mental strength, yeah, of course, it's a very, very rigorous training, and you need a lot of self-discipline. You need a lot of physical fitness, and you get categorized. It's called A1, G1. That means you are A1. That means best, fully fit for air as well as fully fit for ground. A for air and G for ground. So there are various categories, and you can fly up to A to G2. After that, you can't fly. You are grounded in case you have any medical issues. So staying physically fit is very, very important, and that needs a lot of self-discipline. And mentally fit is also equally important. We say that never carry your worries to the cockpit. Never carry your problems to the cockpit. You should leave them behind. Otherwise, your reactions become slow. It will affect. It does affect your flying.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 13 of Speak with GRV. My name is Gaurav Singh, and I am the host of the show. Today, we have a very special guest with us on Speak with GRV, and I am absolutely privileged and honored to host him. We have former Vice Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Anil Khosla, sir. Talking about Anil, sir has spent more than 4 decades with the Indian Air Force. He has clocked flying hours, which exceeds more than 4,000 hours. During his tenure at Indian Air Force, he has been a recipient of various prestigious awards, some of them being Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, Vayu Sena Medal. He was also an ADC. He has also held the leadership at various positions. He held the command of the Eastern Air Command and held the designation Director General Air Operations and Director General of Inspection and Safety. Anil sir, we welcome you to Speak with GRV. And my first question would be, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for getting me on this forum and to interact with the youth of the country. And I'm glad that I'm doing this talk show with you. And thank you very much. I'm doing well.
Thank you, sir. Sir, my first question would be, you worked with the Indian Air Force, being in the service of the nation for such a long time. But let us go down the memory lane to where it all started. So if you could share your experience of your SSB when you gave it, and how was the feeling when you got recommended?
Yeah, Gaurav, actually, it started before the SSB. My father was posted to Kanpur. He was in the Air Force, and then he was on deputation to HAL. And in 1975, after finishing higher secondary, that is class 11, at that time the board used to be in class 11 higher secondary of 3-year syllabus board, 9, 10th, and 11th. So in 1975, I gave the written exam in Allahabad,
Yes.
and then SSB was in Varanasi. And I have very fond memories of that place. I mean, so many years have gone past, almost 5 decades, but I still remember my chest number was 10, and I was called Das Numberi. The name stuck to me for quite some time in my life as Das Numberi. And we had anxiety, and as well as we had fun also. And evening, I remember we used to play roundels on the TT table, and we used to really enjoy it. And anxiety used to be whether we'll clear the various tests like PIBT, group tasks, group discussions, interviews, psychological evaluation tests. So that anxiety used to be there, but it was a first experience in selection process, and we had fun during that.
Yes, sir. Sir, my one question would be, sir, since you already come from a defense background, so was there like an extra added pressure, your father being an officer, that you also have to become an officer? Or you were like, I'll go and see, if I make it, I make it. If it doesn't work, I'll see something else.
Yeah, the other way around, this pressure was not there at all. Actually, my father didn't want me to come in the Indian Air Force. He wanted me to become a doctor.
Okay.
Those time parents used to think very simple way, and only professions available were engineer, doctor, or services. So my elder brother became engineer, so he said, "You become a doctor." So that's how he got me biology in class 9th as elective. But later on, class 10, I took mathematics also as fourth elective. So there was no pressure as such. And actually speaking, after my selection, my father said, "Now you don't go to NDA. This was just to encourage you to experience the selection process for various things, but you pursue the profession of becoming a doctor.
And
Yeah.
sir, I have also learned when we were doing the research that even when you got into Indian Air Force, your father did not want you to go to choose the Air Force stream, because your father being from Air Force, I think your elder brother is from Army, so he wanted you to go to Navy so that all the forces were there. And your mother did not want you to join the fighting stream, because
Yeah.
you went against both those options from the very beginning.
Yeah. So my father, once I decided, no, I'll go for NDA. So he said, okay, you go for Navy then. Now his logic was, by that time my brother had finished engineering and he had joined Army. My father being from Air Force, he says, I'm from Air Force, your brother from Army, and you joined Navy, so we'll have all three services. His logic was very simple, but my mind was set on the Indian Air Force and in the flying branch, so I carried on. And actually, physically, I was a weakling. I mean, very weak and very underweight. Actually, I got medically rejected because I was 6 kgs underweight, and I was given 6 weeks to gain weight. And physically, I was this thing. So my mother used to tell me, NDA is not your cattle of. I mean, you will be back within 2 weeks. You'll be back home. So that much of confidence she had in me. But somehow I managed and I carried on and I finished my training, and after that is history.
And so when did you decide that you will opt for being a fighter pilot? Like, was there a liking from the very beginning, or you discovered it during your training at NDA?
No. Right from the beginning, I was bent on joining Air Force, joining flying, and joining fighter flying. I mean, I was very clear in my mind. I think the influence was because my school was next to the airport in Kanpur, and Kanpur used to have the storage of fighter aircraft also, like Hunters, MiG-21s, and these aircraft used to continuously keep flying. Our classes used to get disrupted at times because of the noise. And during the break period, we used to climb on the wall to look at these aircraft. I think somehow that left an impression, and when I got through, I was clear in my mind that I would like to go for flying, and that to fighter.
Sir, how was the experience when you were during your NDA days, and when exactly the training for a pilot starts? Like, what's the selection process a cadet goes through?
Yeah, so NDA is quite a rigorous training, and I mean, physically and mentally, it makes you very strong, and it prepares you for dealing with any situation which life will throw at you. And as it is said that NDA is one institution where they convert boys into men. And let me tell you another secret about it. Uh, NDA is a one institution you hate it while you are there in those 3 years, and after you leave that institution, you love it. I mean, we all really love that institution because that has prepared us for life and prepared us very well. And second thing is, the bonding which is formed in NDA between the coachmates when we are together is lifelong and a very, very strong bonding as such. So NDA, what happens is fifth term till fifth term, you are doing a common training, and sixth term onwards, you start doing slightly different training along with the common training related to Army, Navy, and Air Force. Like Air Force cadets, they start doing some gliding and paragliding and other things, and they have some theoretical classes regarding flying and other subjects. So sixth term is the term when you start training slightly different.
Yeah. So how would your typical day, as in, look like? At what time would you wake up? What time would you go to training? By at NDA?
There's no typical day in India. Every day is a ragda day. So you get up very early in the morning, and so you have SCON games and PT, and depending on what competition is coming up, practice for that. You have games and cross country and those competitions. So depending on what is coming up, you have practices for that early morning, or you do a PT in the compound of the SCON at the back, and thereafter you change and go for classes early morning, which in the beginning it is PT and parade and sometimes little bit of academics. Then you have a breakfast break, which you go running and eat, gobble up, and come back running, go back for classes. The classes carry on till afternoon. Thereafter lunch is a little bit of rest period, and then once again PT and games. and followed by PT games, is a study period where you compulsorily, all the windows, doors are open and you sit down at the desk and study. And thereafter you go for dinner. After dinner, you come back and again, do a little bit of your study. And there's a light out time where you have to put off your lights and go to sleep. And in any case, by the time your head hits the pillow, you're already sleeping.
Sir, was there any time that you during your NDA training you were punished for some activity that you did not do or some mischief?
Yeah, you get punished very often. I mean, officially as well as unofficially. Official punishments are extra parade, extra drill. It's called ED, and it's called ET run. That is, with full backpack, you go for a run, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers. It was laid down. And the third official punishment was a full day affair, which is to be done on Sunday. It's called Singad. Singad is the fort near Pune, which is at a height, and it's quite a task going uphill with full backpack. So we used to start in the morning and used to finish at lunchtime. So these are the three official punishments. Unofficial punishments, of course, there were many in the squad. You call it ragging, or you call it name procedure, or whatever you want to call it. That were continuous process in the junior terms. As you grow senior, then it reduces it.
And sir, one day I think is also given off, because I've also seen many cadets, they come, I think, even to these, there's a mall in Pune called as Phoenix Mall. So I think that one day off is given where they have the liberty to go.
Sunday is off, but unless if you're doing punishment, then your Sunday is also booked. Otherwise, Sunday generally is off. And this coming to Pune and all is not, taken for granted. I mean, it's called liberty, and you have to apply for it. And you are eligible only after you pass your minimum drill test, which is in second term. So once you pass the drill test, and then only you can go on this liberty and go to town or on Sundays or holidays, whenever liberty is allowed.
Right, sir. So coming to the fighter stream again. So how did the training start? As you mentioned, it starts after the 5th term. So as a fighter pilot, what trainings do you go through?
Yeah, so in India, in 6th term, you do a little bit of gliding, little bit of ground study subjects. And after you finish India, then you go to training institutions in Airforce. And first you fly basic aircraft, and then you go into slightly jet. Like in our case, HT2 was basic aircraft, and Kiran was the stage. And you start flying, and there's a flying syllabus. You have to clear that. You have to do a lot of studies, a lot of ground subjects. After, if you have cleared all that, then after 1 year, if you pass, then you get commissioned as a pilot officer. But the training continues. It's not that the training is finished. Actually speaking, you're ready to go to war. It takes almost 3 to 4 years. So after commissioning, you continue flying into applied phase. Then you go to fighters for the first time. In our case, it is be hunters. So you fly for 6 months hunters. Then you go to MiG-21 class of aircraft. We flew almost 6 to 8 months in MiG-21s, and then went to the SCON. And when you join your fighter SCON, it doesn't mean that you're ready to go for war. It takes another 1 year to get what is called day operational. That means during daytime, you can go for war. And another 1 year to get fully operational. That means day and night. So you can say almost 3 to 4 years of hard work, preparation, training. Then only you become ready to go for war in case in the. So it's quite a lot of hard work, a lot of training.
So which was the aircraft in which you took your first, you can say, solo sortie? And how was that experience when you flew alone?
Yeah, so first solo I did was on HT2 aircraft. It's called Hindustan Trainer. It's a very, very basic aircraft. I used to call it Dalda 10 because if you see the photograph, it looks like one with a propeller in front. But it was one mean machine, mean flying machine, because it had a tendency of swinging on the runway, and many fighter jockeys, who felt they were kingpins, have been taken for a ride in that aircraft. But it used to give a lot of satisfaction to fly, because psychomotor skills required to fly that aircraft were very, very high. It was not a simple machine as such. And going solo, you said, going solo gives you so much of thrill, you can't believe it. And you're scared, of course. Your anxiety is there, scaredness is there. It should be there also. But once you fly solo, the sortie is just for about 10 minutes, but the effect of the sortie is lifelong. You've got kind of confidence which you get. And not only that, first time when you go for experience, first solo, then first time in a jet, or first night flying, first night solo. All these sorties give you a lot of confidence and a lot of thrilling sensation like that. Yeah, Gaurav.
Sir, when, for example, if let's say for somebody who's not a fighter pilot, I would say, when you are seeing a car and a new car comes in, so you look at the specifications like horsepower, pickup, how's the feel, when you're driving it. When it comes to fighter pilots and you see another, let's say fighter jet being inducted into the Indian Air Force, what specification excites fighter pilot? The max speed or any other thing?
Yeah, so speed is generally relative. Actually, speed when you are at height, it doesn't make a difference. It's only the gauge which is telling you you're at so and so Mach or so kilometers per hour or so many miles per hour. Speed is very relative. You can make out you're going very fast only if you have low level. When you see the features, the ground, the town, the roads, the rivers, the going past at a very rapid rate, that's when you realize what is the speed. Or even come for landing or takeoff. When you're seeing the ground rushing by, that is the time you see the speed. Okay, so speed is not criteria. What you look for is, a whole lot of parameters are there. What sort of visibility it allows in the cockpit, whether you can look around all over, look for enemy, what sort of, cockpit does it have, what sort of switches and avionics does it have, is it a modern aircraft with good avionics and, systems which has got good weapons and thing which has it got a head-up display, or you have to got only basic instruments. So there are all these factors which you look for. And the modern day machines, as compared to earlier ones, are totally, technologically very, very advanced and lots of computing power. It's, jam packed with computing power. Those computers miniaturized, and the systems and the navigation system, the ISR system, the weapon management system, the engine management systems are very controls are very, very advanced in these modern machines. So that is what you look for, and it is exciting. And you mentioned about cars.
Yes.
Even the cars have grown quite a bit. Now, after retirement, the car which I bought, I was telling my colleagues, it's like an aircraft. It has got a head-up display, it has got a head-down display, it has got multifunction display, it has got hand controls on the steering like you have in a fighter, hands on throttle and stick. So it is quite akin to fighter aircraft. So my friends keep joking, why don't you put a weapon onto it and it will become like a fighter aircraft?
Sir, I think Air Force will start doing it definitely someday in the near future. All right. So one of your previous conversations, you mentioned that when you are a fighter pilot, the procedure is very strict. Not everybody who gets enrolled actually makes it. You have to take a decision in a split second, and you mentioned it has to become your second nature. So my question would be, how do you practice that? How do you practice fast decision making as a fighter pilot?
Yeah, so fighter flying actually, actually questions. There are two questions in one. One is that like fighter flying, when you get into it, how difficult or easy it to make it. No,
Yeah.
not everyone makes it. The attrition, as we call it, is very high. Like in our course, we were 67 when we started training, and finally only 34 got commissioned, out of which 10 were in helicopter and the rest 24 were in fighters. So attrition rate is very, very high. And that is due to factors, some factors are under your control, some are not under your control. Like which is not under your control is you may feel airsick, you may have some other physical discomfort while flying, which has not been discovered earlier. The psychomotor skill, everyone has a certain amount of psychomotor skill. So basic. So that may not be appropriate. And the factors which are in your control is of course hard work and passion to fly and to overcome all the adversities. A lot of people get over air sickness also. That is also there, marginal cases. So it's attrition is quite high. It's a tough process as far as decision making, dealing with emergencies, dealing with situations. You get trained for it. I mean, it's not that you just sit in the aircraft and you're born with it. You get trained for it. You prepare for it. You go through the aircraft. You know each and every switch. You know each and every gauge. You know each and every lever, what it does, what are the positions, where is it in the cockpit, all that you know. And also, each and every system of the aircraft. The hydraulic system, the control system, the propulsion system, the fuel system. I mean, you do extensive ground subjects training before you get into the aircraft. I mean, before getting into the cockpit itself, you have 1 or 2, 3 months of ground preparation. And once you clear all those, then only you get into this thing. Then in the ECAD also you get prepared. First you go with the instructor, and he checks you out. He does everything. He teaches you. Once you're proficient, then only you start going solo. So it's a full-fledged process. And as far as dealing with the unforeseen incidents and emergencies concerned, you prepare for that also. So it's a lot of preparation.
Sir, when you are going through such a rigorous routine, as you mentioned, and even I am located near this Air Force station, Lohegaon, and even during the conversation, you might feel the aircrafts flying, because I think so. How a fighter pilot physically or mentally, trains for this, because it's a very tiring job, you can say.
Yeah. So glad to hear you're near Lohegaon. I've done 3 tenures in Lohegaon. Actually, after MiG-21, so I converted into Jaguars, and that too maritime Jaguars. And maritime Jaguars that time were in Pune. And I did 3 tenures in that squadron, one as a squadron pilot, one as a flight commander, and one as a commanding officer. So Lohegaon has got a lot of meaning for me and a lot of closeness for me. Having said that, now coming to the physical and mental strength, yeah, of course, it's a very, very rigorous training, and you need a lot of self-discipline. You need a lot of physical fitness, and you get categorized. It's called A1, G1. That means you are A1. That means best, fully fit for air as well as fully fit for ground. A for air and G for ground. So there are various categories, and you can fly up to A to G2. After that, you can't fly. You are grounded in case you have any medical issues. So staying physically fit is very, very important, and that needs a lot of self-discipline. And mentally fit is also equally important. We say that never carry your worries to the cockpit. Never carry your problems to the cockpit. You should leave them behind. Otherwise, your reactions become slow. It does affect your flying. And seniors and colleagues watch out for it. If somebody is like a small family, in case any pilot is going through some distressing event in his life and is mentally preoccupied, he is laid off flying for some time till he gets out of it and recovers. Wives have got a very important role, to take the pressure off the pilots as far as the home is concerned and the problems of the home is concerned. So all physical as well as mental well-being and strength is very, very important in life.
Sir, you touched a very important aspect of, for example, if a fighter pilot has a bad day, whether because of an issue at home or at office, so are you like specifically telling yourself that these situations can come, but you don't, as you mentioned, don't take your worries in the cockpit, you just leave all of them aside? Are you like separately training for such mindset?
Yeah, that's what I said. You have a daily medical every day in the morning before going to for flying. I mean, you have yearly medical, then you have various medicals, but you have everyday medical. The medical officer checks you out for your basic parameters, and if he finds that something is wrong, your BP is high or your pulse rate is high, he inquires and maybe he puts you off. And I said all the seniors, the colleagues, supervisors, they keep a check on all the pilots and even colleagues. They have a this, and you yourself actually, because your life is involved, are mature enough. And if you're having a bad day, if you're not slept well, you have a lot of issues on your mind, you go and you confide with your seniors and say, hey, I'm not up to it, lay me off today or lay me off for a few days. And so that also is there. That option is also there. So automatically, since your life is involved, you yourself don't want to go into the air with that state of mind.
Right, sir. So coming to the last question of this section, sir, we had seen, earlier this year, there had been two unfortunate incidents, I would say, where in January, earlier this year, one pilot lost his life after two fighter aircrafts, namely Sukhoi Su-30 and Mirage. They crashed during the training. And then in May, a MiG-21 fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force also crashed in a location in Rajasthan during a routine sortie. So when mishaps like these happen, how does Indian Air Force reacts to it, and how, as a pilot, you are trained to make sure that the damage is minimum?
Yeah, Gaurav, actually, wherever human being is involved and wherever machines are involved, man and machine, there are going to be failures, there are going to be faults, there are going to be incidents, there are going to be accidents. And, it's a myth that the air fighter flying is very dangerous. And to my mind, uh, Indian roads are more dangerous than the fighter flying. That's what I feel. And, in lighter vein, the good old grandmother tale, like my grandmother also told me, बेटा जब जहाज उड़ाओगे तो थोड़ा धीरे और नीचे उड़ाना. I mean, fly it slow and fly it low. And both the conditions are actually most dangerous. A slow aircraft and that too a low aircraft is the most dangerous actually. Yeah, coming to your point of accident and incident, how do you train for it? As I said, I mentioned earlier that, you're fully familiar with the aircraft cockpit layout and switches and what it does and where the location. And also you are fully conversant with the systems, how does it operate. Then you have emergency various contingencies which can occur. You have a full-fledged flip card, and they're divided into these actions are divided into act reactions and react actions, or you can say immediate actions and subsequent actions. So immediate actions are, you have to take it within a split second, those actions. Things like, jettooning canopy or raising undercarriage or raising flaps or pressing the fire extinguisher or jettooning the canopy or ejecting. So these are mechanical, you have to be very quick. And if the symptoms are showing that, you just take action. And then subsequent actions are you have time, you are flying the aircraft, you're recovering towards this thing. Subsequent actions are, you have a little amount of time, you can refer to the FRC. Then you have these emergency sessions every day and on weekly basis in the stations also, where all involved cover whatever action they are supposed to take. It's not only the pilot, there's a whole lot of ground actions which are required to recover the aircraft, from the ATC, from firefighting conditions, from medical side. So all those actions are covered and analyzed. Okay, so that is preparing the pilot for the emergency actions. Then there are duty pilots at times. Whenever inexperienced people are flying, there is an experienced duty pilot sitting in the ATC who can guide you through the radio telephony, through the RT in these difficult situations. Then on the ground, you have simulators. You simulate these emergencies and see whether the person is taking correct action or not. So that is how you get trained. Now, as far as organization is concerned, organization takes these accident and incidents very seriously. We have a full-fledged branch called Director General Inspection and Safety. I attended that appointment also. So during the visits to various places, various stations, you not only check the operational readiness of these places, but also check the safety culture existing. And every incident, every accident is reported, and the trend is monitored. What is the trend? And also, every time there's an accident, the quota inquiry gives you what are the remedial actions, immediate or in the long term. So all those remedial actions are implemented. So there's a full organized organization which is looking into the safety aspects as far as flying is concerned. But as I said, wherever the man and machine are there are going to be failures, and it's a part of life. It's part of the occupational hazard, or whatever you call it.
Right, sir. Sir, I think one key learning I would have is that if somebody advises you fly low and fly slow, I think that is definitely not going to work.
Yeah.
All right, sir. With this, we come to the end of this section, and we'll start our next section, which is opinion.